Yes, I know all of you can, but the goal of this video is to see whether I can 100% Hollow Knight without ever dying. Let's cut to the title music. I loaded up Hollow Knight and started a new file in Steel Soul mode. One death and the file self-destructs immediately. I woke up and immediately started blasting, pogoing across the spikes for our first charm, Fury of the Fallen. It boosts your damage when you're at 1 mask of health. I'm not that much of a gambler, unfortunately. I strolled into Dirtmouth and immediately signed up for the town's restoration committee. We'll get you back to a thriving metropolis in no time. I made like little Timmy and fell down the well, tried to get cheeky for this grub. Second time's the charm. And now's a good time to let you know I didn't do any research or look up any guides or maps for this one. I've beaten this game twice, once to 112%ed and once for the speedrun achievement, but it's been a while and I definitely might have some struggle points where I'm not sure what to look for. I also anticipate a couple choke points where I might die over and over, especially at the Coliseum of Fools. My goal is to get all the hard things out of the way sooner rather than later, especially the Coliseum, since I know that gives you a pale ore and I want to upgrade my weapon to the max as fast as possible so I can just coast for the back half of the run. Fingies crossed, I guess. I found the hot springs, told these guys I'm not locked in here with them, they're locked in here with me, and opened the first stag station. I popped on over to the shop for the quill because I obviously need help with these maps. I'll be buying more stuff later, but I think I'm gonna save my geo for a couple secret important purchases for now. I opened the path up, cheesed this beefy boy for his geo, and headed to the False Knight. Yes, it's just the tutorial boss, but I still did do it hitless. Hey, I wonder what happens if you hit this guy. Oh my god, I'm a monster. I made friends with a snail shaman, immediately ingested whatever illicit substance he offered me, woke up in his basement, and took care of his armadillo infestation in exchange for my freedom. It's nice to know there are still decent neighbors around. I equipped Soulcatcher for now and headed on into Green Path. I want to get the movement items as quickly as possible, and I know Hornet gives you the dash somewhere over here. Then I can head into the Mantis village for the wall jump. Let's see how it goes. I instantly got played by this Venus flytrap. I'm drawn to Geo like a moth to a flame. Hey, there she is! Hornet! Wait! Can we talk about how satisfying cutting down these logs in? Opening up shortcuts, even if it's just to save one jump, has to be one of my favorite things in gaming. I went and talked to the hunter because I'm pretty sure you need to complete their journal for 100%. Also, did anyone else think they would be one of the 3 dreamers when you first met them? Because their 6 eyes kind of look like the beast. Just me? I rescued another infant. Hornet! I want your cape! Stop walking briskly away from me! I opened the gate, beat up this guy, and took his lunch money. Fine, I guess I'll save you. I don't know if I need to for 100%, but count your blessings, kid. Oof. Ouch. Owie. One thing about me, I can never leave well enough alone. Another grub rescued, I opened the stag station and headed on to the Hornet fight. Other than getting a little overzealous with my pogos a couple times, it went about as well as it could have. Wait, I need your cloak! Fine, I'll take this corpses. I had a brief ayahuasca vision and soldiered on. I popped back to Dirtmouth for the strongest charm in the game, and tried to remember where the Mantis village is. I pogoed on some nice friends, rescued another baby. Oh, this isn't the right way. I struggled way more than I should against the massive moss charger, frolicked through jellyfish fields, and opened up the Queen Station Stagway. I took a mushroom trip, joined a drum circle, and beat them up to steal their charm notch, and found my favorite vendor, Leg Eater. He sells you 3 fragile charms, Strength, Greed, and Heart, which increase your attack, geogeneration, and masks, with the cost that they break if you die. Since I won't be dying anyway, yeah, now we're cooking with an induction pan. I met a giant queen with a heart of gold, saved another infant, snuck into the mantis village via the back door, forgot about this lock, and picked up the mantis claw. I'm trying to prioritize movement items and damage first so I can clean up everything later, but I might as well. That's pretty embarrassing. I did all that again, except this time I found this additional baby, was much cleaner on all the boss fights, and I went further into the fungal wastes and picked up the Dashmaster charm before realizing I couldn't rescue Bretta just yet. The good news is I don't actually need to fight the Mantis Lords now, as I don't need to go into Deep Nest till much later, and even then, not through this door. The bad news is, Mama didn't raise a quitter. That's right, bow to your new lord. I picked up Mark of Pride and went back to rescue a damsel in distress. You should meet my friend Zote. I feel like you guys would really hit it off. I went to reopen the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh, that's very nice of them to let me respawn here. I beat up some New Yorkers, found the only friendly guy in the whole city, and brought my nail to the one business that survived the apocalypse, Union Blacksmithing. That's 1 upgrade done out of 4. I bartered Fringe style with Lem, stabbed this man through the floorboards, rescued yet another grub, and headed up into the Soul Sanctum. I made sure to kill all these Soul Twisters as soon as they spawned so they couldn't team up and overpower me, effortlessly jumped over all the Soul Warriors' attacks. Does anyone else just feel bad for these little Soul Grub guys? I feel like we're putting them out of their misery. And I picked up Spell Twister. The Soul Student has become the Soul Master now, as I only took 1 hit, picking up the Desolate Dive. I did a drive-by on this Glass Ill Grub. Oh, sorry bud, I didn't mean to splash you. I'll be more careful. And on my way back to the station, picked up a simple key. I paid for the elevator simply because I'm a big fan of the Otis Company's work and I wanted them to have a little walking around money. Opened the city storeroom Stag Station, and headed back to Dirtmouth. I'm sure most of you have noticed I've done a lot of collecting Geo and not a lot of spending it. It's time to change that. I headed to the Grubfather to collect the ransom, reward money for rescuing some of his children, including a mask shard, got another mask shard from my love Bretta, who surely will never leave me, and ran down to the southeast of the Forgotten Crossroads. I stabbed a sleeping mother 7 times before she could even retaliate, woke this little guy out of his stupor. I wonder if he knows his way around a nail. And I bought Long Nail and 2 charm notches from Salubra. For now, I'm going to equip Fragile Strength and Fragile Greed until I feel like I've earned enough Geo, which, since I don't know how much I actually need, will be based on what I call the vibe economy. I found Sly in his newly reopened shop and picked up both his mask shards to complete my first mask, as well as the Lumafly lantern. No discount, huh? Even though I literally saved you from radiance-based psychosis? I beat up this beefy boy to rescue the child he'd kidnapped, and dashed into the Crystal Peak. Poor Mila. I attended a groundbreaking ceremony, sparred with my least favorite enemies in the whole game, and braved some sort of medieval torture facility to rescue another grub. I got the map, hung out with the shinobi. Let me up! God, taking these out is so satisfying. And finally found the correct path. I attended an EDM festival and picked up the Crystal Heart, unlocking Super Dash. I immediately used it to rescue another grub, and braved the Crunchy Stompy factory for another one. On my way out, I jumped into a hole in the ground to save this guy. Hold on, I mean this guy. Dang fake babies. And back in Dirtmouth, I picked up the Gathering Swarm charm to help me generate passive income. I returned to the City of Tears for a massive lore dump, and used my simple key to dive into the sewers. I swam through the refuse and detritus of a city long since past, facing the twisted, mutated remnants of its denizens for a mask shard. Missed this obviously breakable wall, Foreshadowing is a device where... Does anyone else think these pufferfish kinda look like pigs? Because their snouts? Just me? I got another map, broke the crumbling infrastructure even further, and faced the king's most loyal stan. Did you know you can knock him out of the dung with Desolate Dive? It makes this fight way faster. I flipped this mechanism and dropped down into the ancient basin. I took out a bunch of baby sarlaccs. Oh, that's okay, Cloth. I think those guys are creepy as hell too. And I grabbed this pale ore. 1 down, 5 to go. I unlocked this bench because why not, and super dashed over to what I call the puking babies. I got completely owned by this one, grabbed another simple key. What a way to go out. And went to face one of my many failed siblings. I always found this boss difficult, but other than letting him jump on me a couple times, I breezed through it pretty effortlessly, giving me access to the Monarch Wings. I double jumped up for this grub, opened up the hidden station, and immediately traveled back to the city to upgrade my nail. I said upgrade my nail. Halfway there. And along the way I opened up the King Station and participated in Mad Max Thunderdome for a vessel fragment. How you doing, babe? Just waiting around for me to get done adventuring? I bought Stalwart Shell and a vessel fragment from Sly, and dashed back to the Crystal Peak. I grabbed the shopkeeper's key that I definitely didn't just miss earlier and ascended to the top, clowning on these laser boys and horrible, dreadful, awful crystal mosquitoes along the way, finally reaching Hallownest's crown where I could retrieve my bounty, the second pale ore. I immediately took a leap of faith and got just dominated by these crystals to save this grub. I have no soul and no monsters to farm. Is this it? My heart was racing with every single jump. Oh, I thought there was a bench here. Thank God for these harmless friends. I made it out alive. I woke up the Crystal Guardian because he was hogging my bench, and because he's a total pushover. I dashed through another stompy crushy factory for money, glory, and another trapped baby, and ran over to potentially my least favorite sub-area, the Crystallized Mound. I used wall hacks to take out the first couple mosquitoes, got completely owned by this guy before getting my revenge, rescued this grub, and I guess freed the spirit of this snail shaman or something to upgrade Desolate Dive to Descending Dark. I took another leap of faith, got another lore dump, and followed an ethereal butterfly across floating rocks to unlock the Dream Nail. I immediately platformed for a bunch of red circles, picked up Dream Shield, and went grave digging. I opened the path to the Forgotten Crossroads, braved explosions and monsters to rescue this grub, and I'll come back for you later. I challenged Zero, who's kind of the tutorial Dreamnail boss. All you have to do is jump around his spears, and they move pretty slowly, so he's easy enough to vanquish. I unlocked the Resting Ground Stag Station and returned to the newly infected Crossroads. I bought every charm Salubra has to offer, got blown up, and dropped into this spiky hole for another vessel fragment, giving me an additional soul orb thing. I jumped up to this previously inaccessible place and played a quick rhythm game for another mask shard, rescued this child who was imprisoned next to a lake of acid, and now that I had enough money, bought another charm notch from Salubra, allowing me to re-equip the greatest charm of all time. I pogoed across these spikes to rescue this grub, even though I could have just super dashed because I wanted to prove a point. Dashed through here and fought all these fireflies for the charm Glowing Womb. You should probably get that checked out. I returned to the scene of the crime to challenge the failed champion. Now, if you die in a dream, do you die in real life? According to Hollow Knight, no. Which, thank God. If you have a problem with that, honestly fair, but don't look at me, I didn't design the game. Does it seem arbitrary? Yes. Am I happy they made it this way because my 12 losses didn't end up mattering? Also yes. And, to be fair, if Dreamfight deaths were permanent too, I would have just saved all these more difficult bosses until the end when I had more masks and a max damage nail. I fleeced some money, got more rewards from the Grubfather for rescuing his kids, including the Grub Song Charm, and returned to Greenpath. I unbottled this guy and headed to the Stone Sanctuary where I picked up a mass shard and challenged No Eyes, one of the easier bosses. Oof. Ouch. Owie. Guys? Guys? No way. There's just no way. Oh my god. 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 Not even close, baby. I headed back to Queen Station and did this little platforming section for another mask shard and my 7th mask. Should I have done this a long time ago? Who's to say? At the resting grounds, I got some rewards from the seer, including my 3rd pale ore and the Dream Wielder charm, and now my nail has 3 of its 4 upgrades, not bad. I dropped down into the sewers again. Hey, that's a helpful little hint. Eek, spooky. And opened the path through Eternal and Malicious House. This is probably what I'd be doing if I were the only one to survive the zombie apocalypse, too. I headed toward Yzma's Grove, demolished these guys thanks to my upgraded nail and fragile strength, and drank her tears or something. I can now swim through acid, so I can go almost everywhere. On the way out, I quickly saved this little baby, and back in the city, I opened up the pleasure house. There, I met a butterfly who dreamed of being a famous singer, and put her out of her misery. Not all of us can make it, girl. I went back to Dirtmouth and bought the map of the resting grounds. I think I've never once gotten this map from its intended location, because I always drop into the resting grounds from Crystal Peak. Then I gave Sly his key back and bought another math shard. Back to the King's Station, I swam under the crumbling walls and into the kingdom's edge. I tickled this big booty, got another lore dump. Hey, it's you again! No! The second Hornet fight is much faster and deadlier than the first, but other than a couple silly mistakes where I fell directly on her rope dart, I actually played it pretty cleanly. With that, I could obtain the King's brand. Thanks for the rescue, girl. Call me. I platformed around some more spikes to rescue this grub, and paid 800 Geo to Oro to teach me the dash slash. Hey, teachers deserve good pay too. I went out to his backyard and just started spelunking. Way underground, I found my favorite charm, Quick Slash. I did not know this was here, but boy was I happy. I also found another bottled baby I guess he had buried down here. No need to think too much about that. Back in the City of Tears, I did a big loop through the Rich District, taking out every single bug for their Geo. I did this loop 7 times to get me above 4,500 Geo. Along the way, I also took out this creep guarding another imprisoned baby. Now, let me teach you about a little thing called compound interest. It's where I leave all my hard-earned Geo with a banker, then when she tries to take it all and run away to the Cayman Islands, I compound the interest out of her. Oh yeah, very satisfying. When all was said and done, I had turned my 4,500 into just over 7,000. Not a bad return on investment. Thanks to my newfound riches, I could buy out Sly's entire stock, including a mask shard, a vessel fragment, the elegant key, heavy blow, sprint master, and the simple key, leaving him with just a rancid egg. You hold on to that, buddy. I'm sure some sucker will buy it. Back at the ancient basin, I presented the King's brand and dropped down into the abyss. I jumped over the mosh pits from Woodstock 99, fought through a legion of more of my failed siblings, and turned on the lighthouse. I swam through the Black Lake and dipped myself into a pool of ichor to receive probably my favorite upgrade in the game, the Shade Cloak. It finally makes it so you're invulnerable during your dashes, with a cooldown of about 1.5 seconds, which the Dark Souls player in me, who always wants to dash into attacks, appreciates greatly. On the way out, I talked to Hornet one more time, becoming more sure of what I needed to do. Oh, and I went back and bought the rancid egg from Sly. I wasn't sure if he gave you something for buying him out or not. Guess not. Wait, I'm the sucker. I bought all the map pins just to give my map a pop of color, and figured I'd start from the top and work my way down. In Greenpath, I swam across the acidic lake of Un to get this, snot rocket? Thanks. I opened up a chest with a false bottom and dropped down into this Armadillo Fight Club, earning the Baldur's Gate 3 charm, rescued another bottled grub, and headed up to the Howling Cliffs. I collected more dream orbs and bought the map. Side note, I think I've only ever accessed the Howling Cliffs from the Stag Nest before, so this is my first time actually buying the map here. I fought through a bunch of mosquitoes living in a spike pit to reach Joni's repose for Joni's blessing, put her out of her misery, and stopped by Nailmaster Mato's humble abode where he took me on as a pupil for free. Hold on, why did Oro charge me again? Anyway, I learned the Cyclone/nail art, and took another leap of faith back to Dirtmouth. I went back to Salubra for her last charm notch, so I can now equip Fragile Strength, Quick Slash, and Long Nail, and return to Queen Station looking for what to do next. I looped through the fungal wastes and swam through this little acid pond toward Fog Canyon. I found the cartographer, blew myself up 100 times for another charm notch, and headed over to the teacher's archives. I jumped around waiting for my ninja friend to make Umu vulnerable so I could pogo it, and after 3 cycles, we could head to this giant Mewtwo jar and take out the first dreamer. That done, I swam under these thorns and into the Queen's Gardens. Looping around through this shortcut, I found the overgrown mound where I took a quick job as an exterminator to finally unlock the third spell, the Howling Wraiths. I had a quick check-in with my goat, owned a bunch of manti, got the map, put a lover's quarrel to rest, owned some more manti to grab the love key. You guys doing okay? And as I was trying to head back to Queen Station, I fell into Deep Nest. So, the thing is, I could actually just jump back up into the fungal wastes, but honestly, I felt like the game was pushing me into Deep Nest, and I have to do it eventually, so why not just try to clear out the whole region now? Poor map maker. I find this place creepy too. Oh hey look, a dark twin of mine. I dropped down into a wonderfully quaint little underground sauna, dashed through this void pillar and a bunch of beetles to grab Sharp Shadow, and found a bunch of invulnerable friends on whom to pogo on and up to bring me to another vessel fragment. I broke this rock wall to find another grub, went on a literal mushroom trip to find Galeon, whom I defeated with the time-honored tactic of whamming him over and over and praying the spinning axe just misses you. I headed up to the failed tramway for the tram pass, and defeated a bunch of reanimated corpses to help out my best bud. Hey, have you ever considered giving up the adventuring life and settling down with a beautiful wife? Have I got the girl for you? I dashed over here to save yet another bottled baby. Ow. Learned earthbending from the badger moles. Hey, there I am again. Oh god, more giant spiders? Where am I, Australia? I defeated Nosk by exploiting the fact that he runs right over you if you hide in the corner, and then pogoing him when he runs back the other way. Finally, I picked up the fourth pale ore. Side note, I think the way these spiders come out of the foreground and then just crawl around in the air is really cool. I platformed all over the place for a bunch more dream orbs, entered the Weaver's Den for the Weaver Song Charm, and looped around to rescue this little guy. I did not fall for the Deep Nest final trap, opened up the Stagway Station, and do you guys think I should sit? Nah, let's try something else. I'm goated. I found the beast, killed the beast, and heard some more lore from my sister. Hey, what happened, everybody? Huh, must have been a pretty good party. We're getting to the point now where I want to full clear every area, so I headed to King's Station, swam over to Kingdom's Edge, and dropped down to the Tower of Love, where I used the love key to greet the Collector. I've done his fight in the Pantheon enough times that I know how to take out all the bugs he drops, then get a few hits on him every cycle, and without any trouble at all, he goes down, allowing me to pick up the Collector's map so I can find those pesky grubs I've missed. Back in Greenpath for hopefully the last time, I super dashed and pogoed over to Paintmaster Shio's house for the final nail art, Great Slash, jumped up here and effortlessly dashed through lightning and vines for the Thorns of Agony charm, saved this little guy, jumped through acid and killed these helpless friends because I thought you had to complete the Beast Journal to get 100%, but you don't, whoops, and got this vessel fragment before realizing I can't access the Queen's Gardens this way yet. I dropped down into Fog Canyon, popped into the Teacher's Archive for this grub I'd missed earlier, and swam back into the Queen's Gardens. I bought the bench at the insect exhibit, fought a bunch more manti, found yet another grub. Don't worry, your time will come. Opened the shortcut, and jumped past a bunch of Venus flytraps for another grub. I beat up a bouncy ball with some of the most confusing physics in the world, unlocked the Stag Station, and headed up to challenge the Trader Lord. Oh hey, you're gonna help out? Sweet, should be easy enough then. This fight is definitely one of the harder ones just due to the relentless pace of it. There are only really 4 attacks, the slash forwards, the jump and dive, the gusts that you have to shade cloak dash through, and the boomerangs. But if you slip up for just a second, it's easy to take multiple hits. That said, I was cruising pretty well when, oh no, you'll pay for this. I met with the White Lady to grab the White Fragment, laid Cloth down to her final rest, struggled way too much with this very easy platforming section, took a break to farm Dream Orbs and soul off these little friends, and finally made my way up to yet another bottled baby. Queen's Gardens now cleared out, I returned to the fungal wastes, this time jumping over the pit to Deep Nest, immediately found this grub, the Spore Shroom Charm, and headed over to Elder Who. She is, in my opinion, probably the easiest boss, especially if you have Shade Cloak, and I beat her without taking a single hit. To finish off the wastes, I jump up to the fungal core, leading me to more Dream Orbs and down into Deep Nest for another Mask Shard. Seeing I had unfortunately missed 2 grubs in Deep Nest, I fought through a bunch of mimics to get this one real baby, Then ran back to Queen Station so I could travel to the distant village and get this grub I'd totally forgotten existed in the beast's den. I took this opportunity to head to the Stagnus so I could grab the vessel fragment there, then finally went back to Sly's shop in Dirtmouth so I could follow him down to his basement where he gave me a special treat, the Nailmaster Glory's charm. Thank you, Sensei. I dropped back down to the crossroads to traverse these spike mazes and absolutely obliterate the brooding Moloch, giving me another mask shard. Now I have 8 out of the maximum 9 masks. I dug the Gravedigger's final grave and returned to Crystal Peak one last time. I did another Dream Tree platforming section and jumped up to the Enraged Guardian. I played double dutch with this angry mall cop's laser gun. Ow. Sweet. Ow again. And got the mask shard he was hiding. I traveled back to the ancient basin, and I threw a wish in a well. Don't ask me, I'll never tell. I looked at you as it fell, and now I have another vessel fragment. I equipped a secret weapon, the Defender's Crest, and awoke the Lost Kin Spirit. This was one of the hardest bosses for me the first time I played this game, but other than a few stumbles at the beginning, I kinda destroyed him with the help of Quick Slash and my upgraded nail. The Dung Defender's aura insta-takes out the little ghosts, so you don't have to worry about them at all. And by the end, I knew he was close to dying and I still had most of my health, so I just face-tanked his attacks and swung away until he gave up. I returned to the Seer for a bevy of rewards, including the final vessel fragment, a mask shard, and the ability to use Dreamgate. I guess I might as well get this over with. This nice lady wants you to bring a flower to her beloved's grave, in the Queen's Gardens, on the other side of the map. If you take even one hit, the flower breaks and you have to restart. I was actually doing quite well, pogoing enemies and dashing to avoid falling spikes, but in the Fog Canyon I got a little too aggressive with these jellyfish. Luckily, most enemies in this game only respawn when you rest at the bench, so I soldiered on and cleared out the rest of the path to the grave, then used the Dream Gate to return. Even more luckily, she has a second, equally sacred, equally unique flower, and this time I took it nice and slow and oh my god. I picked up a third, equally sacred, equally unique flower, and this time I obviously delivered it safely and effortlessly to the grave. For this, I was rewarded with another mask shard. Back at the ancient basin, I took the midnight train going anywhere, and broke into the hive. I got some more dream circles, enlisted this big boy's help to retrieve the final mask shard. I'll let you live for that. For now. The Hive Knight was getting a little dicey. He's tall enough that if you hesitate on your jumps he'll still hit you, and for some reason I'm horrible at dodging these spikes. But then I remembered I had Quick Slash and just attacked him until it was over. And for my troubles, I earned the Hive Blood charm. I exited through the gift shop and looped back to the top of the hive for this grub. Hello darkness, my old friend. I challenged this shield-spinning, projectile-spamming loser, and while I got a bit dicey at moments, I mostly just avoided his spears until I had a clear window and slowly whittled him down. I popped up to the waterways for this little grub, realized the grub I was missing in Kingdom's Edge was actually in the hive, and sheepishly ran back to it. Oh, and there you are, little guy. Sorry about that. Now, I guess it's time to investigate where all these bodies are falling from. The Trial of the Warrior is not too bad. I mostly just hate these little fireflies. For some reason I always get hit by their tri-attacks. I pogo the Vengefly King and easily crush the rest of these bugs. Oh, hey there bud. Sorry it had to come to this. With that new charm notch, I can equip Fragile Strain, Quick Slash, Long Nail, and Sharp Shadow, and head into the Trial of the Conqueror. I juggle these guys, swat the mosquitoes, do a bunch of pogos, let this guy kamikaze, and avoid the exploding bats. The bouncing guys are easy if not a little annoying. The forced wall jump section with the spikes on the bottom is always a little stressful, but I was pretty secure in my pogos and got through relatively unscathed. I damaged one oblobble down to near death, then just completely face-tanked the other one to take it out, returning to the first oblobble and toppling their wobbling empire with aplomb, earning me the 5th pale ore. Only a few things left to do now. Have you learned your lesson? I head up to the Watcher Spire, destroy this priceless chandelier, and I know a lot of people struggle with the Watcher Knights, but once you have the Shade Cloak it's pretty easy as long as you jump over their swipes and focus them down one at a time. And with that, all 3 dreamers were done. I fought through more soldiers to rescue the very last grub, collected some more Dream Tree orbs. I knew those two would be a perfect match, and returned to the grub father on the day of his daughter's wedding for my final rewards. I no longer need the money, but now we're talking. Wait, is that it? Hold the phone. Oh man. I dropped out of the sewers to forage for rings and coins one last time. There you are. Now, imagine if I'd remembered that the first time. Anyway, I got Grubberfly's Elegy. And, using the pale ore I just got, at last, my right arm is complete. I stepped into the Temple of the Black Egg just so I could see the completion percent. 93%. So close! But there's still miles left to go. I scaled the Crystal Peak one last time. I swear, for real, I can stop whenever I want. How did I miss this wall? Whoops. Huh. Oh, well, that works, I guess. And picked up Deep Focus. I returned to the Seer to awaken my Dream Nail. Now, I've been absolutely dreading the White Palace. It's really not the hardest platforming in the world, but I always get nervous and mess up the timing, and if I die, is what I would say if the Grub Song charm didn't exist. It makes you regenerate soul when you take damage, and paired with Grubberfly's Elegy, which enhances that effect, and Deep Focus to heal 2 masks at once instead of 1, I have effectively infinite healing. Perhaps it's because I was less nervous since I had no chance of actually dying. Perhaps I'm just goated. But I breezed through the palace, doing pretty well with the platforming, all things considered, and picked up the King's Soul. I immediately equipped it and headed down to the Abyss once more. I stuck to the left side to enter the cavern to upgrade my Howling Wraiths into the Abyss Shriek, and I dug right down to the bottom of my soul to see what was waiting inside. Turns out it was a Void Heart. To finish off the Abyss, I equipped Fragile Heart, Joni's Blessing, and Lifeblood Heart, and headed down to the Lifeblood Core Charm. Fun fact, on my first playthrough, I actually hit these spikes so many times I died in here, because you can't heal, you know? Anyway, I traveled back to the Soul Asylum, used the Elegant Key and beat up this Soul Warrior to upgrade my Vengeful Spirit spell to the Shade Soul, and climbed up to the top of the Soul Sanctum once more to challenge the Soul Tyrant. Once you learn how to jump through his rotating d6 of orbs, he's kind of a pushover. In the second phase, you just jump dash as soon as he appears to ground pound you, and then with a pure nail, you can just wail on him and you'll take him out before he does you. And that's one more boss down. I traveled back to the Stag Nest to demolish Gorb. He has a really easy cycle where you just dodge his spears, then get 3 hits in, and there you go. Let's check our progress. Hold on a sec. How does this game calculate 100%? I'll get at least all the charms, right? I went back to the resting grounds to break this wall I missed earlier and grab Soul Eater, and dove into the sewers one final time to dishonorably pogo the Fluke Mom to death. This doesn't feel right. And I got the Fluke Nest charm. And that's everything. Only one boss left. Luckily for me, the Hollow Knight is kind of a pushover as far as final bosses go. I jump over or dash through all his attacks. I only got hit once by his parry, and he even starts helping me out to make the fight go faster halfway through. A bit anticlimactic, but that's it. I've beaten Steel Soul mode with over 100% completion. Hold up, what's Hornet up to? What do you think she wants me to do? Get good! Alright, let's get good. didn't make me sweat, it wouldn't be worth doing. After pogoing the optional final boss, the Radiance, into oblivion, yes, that boss is entirely optional, and if I had died, it would have ended the entire run. I can say, definitively, that yes, I can 100% Hollow Knight without ever dying. What do you all think I am, a baby? If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and remember, it's dangerous out there. Let's stick together. Now, enjoy the Trial of the Fool.